For the penultimate episode of Season 3, Morgan Spector is thrilled that his character George from the Gilded Age was shot in a violent cliffhanger. The destiny of Spector's character remains uncertain as we approach the finale next week, despite the HBO series' recent renewal for a fourth season. Spector is now reacting to this shocking turn of events in which George answered his home's door and was shot by a courier. Spector tells TVLine that he's thrilled by the turn of events after Jones was also shot. This is accurate to the time period, therefore it's definitely not impossible, Spector told the publication. Fans of the Gilded Age have grown accustomed to this type of violence over the past few weeks, even though George's fate is left unclear at the end of the credits. In the last episode, John Adams was bidding goodbye to Oscar van Rhijn, his former love interest, when he was brutally murdered by a horse and carriage. The stakes for every individual have increased dramatically as the Gilded Age approaches its conclusion, with both startling incidents acting to rearrange the relationships of numerous characters. Now, one of the major mysteries that the Gilded Age Season 3 will have to address in its conclusion is whether George will live or die. Taking George off the board will completely upend Carrie Coon's character, who has been a major figure since the start of the Gilded Age along with Bertha Russell. It's difficult to predict the series' specific direction at this point. Gunshots like this are extremely lethal, as Spector points out, particularly given the time period the show is set in. In addition to recently eliminating John Adams, the Gilded Age is going all out and raising the stakes everywhere. Additionally, the HBO series renewal was never assured, so it's possible that the writers saw this plot as part of Bertha and George's possible conclusion in the event that Season 4 never materialized. Even though George's fate might be known next week, whether he survives or not, Bertha and the social lives of every character on the Gilded Age will undoubtedly be impacted by this shooting. It would be devastating to lose Spector, but the third season of the HBO series feels more assured than ever. The Gilded Age Season 3 Episode 7 has demonstrated that it is not hesitant to push its characters to the limit, much like Episode 6. Oscar van Rhijn was left perplexed by John Adams' premature death at the end of the Gilded Age Season 3, Episode 6. Gladys Vere made progress with Hector, Duke of Buckingham, with Bertha Russell's assistance. In Episode 7, the troubles that other people were dealing with, George Russell's business issues and Marion Brooks' romantic issues, only got worse. To put it briefly, the final episode of the Gilded Age Season 3 has a lot of questions to address, beginning with the destiny of one of the most important characters on the program. It was a great surprise when Episode 7 ended with a gunshot to John Adams' head because his death in Episode 6 was shocking and he was a much smaller figure than George Russell. The fact that things were finally improving for the industrialist just makes the situation worse. George Russell's company is in a really vulnerable position as of Season 3 of the Gilded Age. His investors are running out, and he has been investing more money in his ideas than he has. Episode 7 brought Larry Russell back to salvage the Russell corporate empire following his major failure with Richard Clay in Episode 6. George can finally carry out his plans after Larry's triumph in Morenci, but the secret conclusion clearly stops that. It's safe to assume that the aftermath will be shown in the finale since we only see the gunfire and not Mr. Russell being wounded, but who wanted him dead might be a more important topic. The characters in the Gilded Age don't feel the same way, at least when it comes to themselves, but I enjoy a nosy character who spills secrets, whether it's Lady Whistledown or Gossip Girl. Following the publication of his book Society as I Have Found It, Ward McAllister discovered that the hard way in Episode 7 of Season 3 of the Gilded Age. This tale is taken from history, even though the Gilded Age does contain a good amount of fictional drama. In 1890, the actual Ward McAllister was expelled by high society after publishing the book Society as I Have Found It. They no longer trusted Mr. McAllister, which was understandable. Because of her friendship with Larry Russell, Marion Brooke has rapidly emerged as the Gilded Age's most annoying character. They were doing so well together in the first half of the season, which culminated in their engagement in Episode 5 of Season 3 of the Gilded Age. Marion is still adamant about calling off their engagement. Marion broke off the engagement in a letter after becoming alarmed after hearing about Larry's night out at the Haymarket. She now rejects his version of events in Episode 7. Jack Trotter's assurance that Larry is innocent is the one instance in which she appears to second-guess her choice, raising the possibility that she might reconsider. Bertha Russell has always been one of the most fascinating characters in the Gilded Age because of her ambition, but Season 3 is revealing that this quality is back to haunt her. She has been at war with her husband George since forcing her daughter to wed the Duke in Episode 4, and now Larry is also against her.